News events can cause massive spikes in the market. Some traders profit from them huge, some traders blow their accounts. The difference is really just knowing how to trade the news the right way or the smart way. In this video, we're gonna break down some tips and some tricks on how to approach the news with a smarter mindset in your trading. I'm gonna show you guys how to profit from the news and the market volatility that the news can bring instead of getting caught in what I like to call the trap. All right, news is always a time where there's high impact and high volatility, fast movements in the market, right? Markets move fast during news, big opportunities, but that also comes with big risks because really anything can happen in a news event. It can go up, it can go down, it can spike both ways. There's a lot of volatility, especially depending on the news event. I've highlighted some key news events that are best to trade here, like the NFP, the FOMC, the CPI, the GDP reports, and interest rate decisions, or other events like unemployment rates are also key. There's some other high impact news events that all pretty much react the same way with that high impact and volatility in the beginning. To be honest, not all news, doesn't matter what event it is, it could be the NFP, the FOMC, anything. Not all news is really worth trading. We do want to focus on the high impact news events mainly. I don't really look at yellow folders or the orange folders so much, mainly high impact. But even with just that being said, that's what we focus on the most. So what I mean by that is it might be a market environment that is not in your favor or give you really an edge over the market versus your normal trading strategy, because there's going to be a lot of volatility. And that's one of the differences that most traders don't understand when they're approaching the news or on a big news day. It's not sometimes a regular trading day where you kind of have maybe no emotions or second guesses on the chart, because sometimes the news can be what I like to call noise. It can sometimes disrupt your technical analysis or maybe get in the way of what you see on the charts right now, because news events can be traps for the market. They can often be traps that set up for opportunities, and this is something we're going to cover in this video. We're going to go over the trap in this video, but let's go over some other smart trading strategies for the news before we go over the charts. But remember guys, like I said, especially for you new traders and even you developing traders that already have experience, this is the problem that a lot of traders go through with news events. Let's say NFP, for example. NFP happens on Friday, right? So a lot of news events can come at different days in the week, like Thursdays, Fridays. So let's say this, and this is why I say not all news is worth trading. And it's because what I'm about to go over, because you don't need a news event to be profitable. It's not gonna make a difference in your trading. And there's some traders who say, you know what, I'm not gonna trade the news today, I'm already profitable. So let's just say there's a high impact news event that's coming out on a Thursday, and you've been trading Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, up into Thursday, right? And let's say you've had a profitable week. This is the point where you got to realize not all news is worth trading. I've already been profitable up to this point. Let's maybe put the defense on now. Offense, defense, two things we can maybe have in trading. You can be aggressive. Maybe there's some times where you got to put the brakes on. Like NFP just happened today, non-farm payroll, for example, right? That happens on a Friday. So it could be even like a news event's happening on a Friday. You've been trading all week, the work's done, you've had long hours on the chart, and maybe at this point you're already profitable. This is an experience that a lot of traders will go through is where they give profit back to the markets. And it may be because they're trading a news event, which could have been maybe over trading the week, right? Let's say you've traded Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, up into Thursday, and it's Friday. NFP's coming out, for an example, and you've had a good week. This is the point where you got to be like, you know what? Friday's not going to make my week. It's been a good week. I could chill right now and just come back to the charts Monday next week and I'll be okay. Most traders don't do that. And that's why most traders get burnt out by news events and approach it wrong. They'll treat it like it's just a regular day. You want to be more planned to the news in your approach and know, okay, if the news does this, I'm going to do this. If the news does this, I'm going to do this. You don't need to trade the news. It can be a day where you're really kind of sitting back, watching, observing, because you also have to pay attention to the data that comes out for the news. So let's talk about this real quick. So 3 smart strategies to trade the news. Number one, pre-news positioning. This is also very mental too, very psychological. You gotta have a good mindset if you expect a big move, especially, right? Look at the trend before the news. Does the market already expect a certain outcome? So this is when we talk about the forecast for the market. Trade based on market expectations, not always the actual results. Because an example would be if CPI is expected to be high, gold already might start rising before the release of the news. Let's just say, for an example, guys, you have a news event that comes out on a Friday and there's a forecast that's already set out for that news event. The market could already be trading in the news's direction or in that forecast direction a day or even days before the news event. So for instance, NFP's forecast this week was more negative. If we go back to Wednesday, right? Wednesday, the ADP non-farm came out negative. What did you notice with gold this week? It was keeping more bullish this week. This week is an example where the market was trading more already to the forecast. With gold, we could see that because the forecast is something to be expected. So if you have an expectancy for something, it can even come before the news. Most traders look at the news like, news just came out positive, this is gonna go up, or news came out negative, but a lot of times the market has already made the news move in the week, traded before it. This part might be a lot more advanced to understand. I'm just gonna briefly talk about it. If you're inside my inner circle, you'll learn a lot about this with me, especially on the live. So number two would be the breakout strategy. This is trading after the news hits and it's waiting for the news to really find its direction and trade within that breakout direction, maybe 30 minutes after the news. And it's useful using key support and resistance levels to confirm a move. If you have, say, a resistance level on price, let's say you have a resistance here on price and the market's made resistance here and the news pushes it through resistance. This is now like confirmed more of like a breakout in the trending direction. You can often look for pullbacks to continue in that news direction. That would be more of like a breakout strategy with the news breaking out of a resistance level or a support level. The strategy, and I saved it for the last year that I want to show you guys today, is more of a smart entry strategy, reversal strategy. This is what I like to call the trap because news can be unpredictable for any trader, right? There's millions and millions of traders going to the market at the same time, waiting for the news to come out, getting ready to push the button. So strategy number three would be wait 15 minutes for a reversal, 15-30 minutes. So after the news, the market usually makes an initial move, but that move can be a trap. We talk about this a lot on YouTube and on the streams. So it's really good to sit on your hands for the first 15-30 minutes of a news event. Because like I talked about in the beginning, the market moves fast during news, especially in the beginning. So you get a lot of traps. A lot of traders are getting trapped. I'm going to show you an example this week of one trap that happened on a news event with gold. And it's right here on that red candlestick that you see. This candle was a news candle that pretty much trapped the market. You can see it's a really red bearish candlestick that drops quite aggressively. This is a news candlestick. This is the strategy I like to approach the news with if I'm ever planning to trade it. Notice what I said there, if I'm ever planning to trade it, because news isn't something you always have to trade. This goes back to, again, some of the tips that we mentioned in the beginning of the video, that not all news is worth trading. And the reason I say that is because you could be profitable already. Or maybe if you even had a bad week, it could be like, you know what? I had a bad week. I'm not going to trade this news. Let's call it a week. Or it could just be a part of your trading plan that in general you don't like the news. Maybe it's too noisy for you. Maybe it distracts you. Maybe there's too many outcomes that can happen. So that's why at the end of the day, if you're going to trade the news, one strategy. Don't think of 3, 4, 5 different strategies like this could happen or that. If you're going to plan to trade the news, we always say plan to trade the news, right? You don't have to. Focus on one strategy. That makes it easier so you can plan a bit before. Like think, okay, if it spikes down to here, maybe I get buys. Okay, if it spikes up to here, maybe I get sells. You're already kind of forward thinking and already kind of triggering your brain to get ready for reaction, right? You're not just randomly like, oh my gosh, news just came out, what just happened? The brain needs time to process things, right? So if you're already thinking of something you're gonna do, as you're doing it, you're gonna be ready to react, right? So if you're just waking up, pulling out your laptop, oh, I just woke up, you know, and you're opening up your laptop, checking out the charts before the news, your brain's not so ready to react, right? The market's not always about forecasting things. It's kind of even just pre-thinking like, okay, this could happen. So when it happens, you're ready for it, right? That's how the brain reacts quicker to things. And in the market, you don't really want to be so much of a forecaster. Profitable traders react. They don't always forecast. They're good at forecasting, but they're good at reacting too, right? Technical analysts are really like forecasters. There's a difference between being good at maybe analyzing things, like a technical analyst, a forecaster, and then someone who reacts to the market, a profitable trader, someone who makes money, okay? So this is the news candle. Think of it like the fake out candle. So why do we call it the trap? Because anyone who was buying before the news would have got stopped out. Because this thing dropped pretty much $20. And $20 on gold, that's a pretty big stop loss, right? Most traders would have definitely got trapped on that whole entire candle, right? Think about, let's reverse that. What if you saw this candle and you were saying, oh my gosh, it's a big red candle, I gotta sell. So there's more than one trap here that you gotta think about, right? Anyone who was buying before the news got trapped, right? Would have had to take a re-entry or a stop loss hit. But anyone who is selling now because they're like, this is dumping, I gotta sell. Remember, there's millions of traders that are watching this candle when it's coming out, right? So anyone who's like selling late, maybe selling at the bottom thinking it's gonna keep dropping, reversed on. So when it comes down to if you're gonna plan to trade the news, a strategy like this is good because you can get an idea beforehand, like if it drops, I can look for a reversal. It's more about just sitting on your hands that first 15-30 minutes. The reason a lot of traders out there don't trade news events sometimes is because they've maybe had bad experiences as well with the news event. I can relate to a long time ago where it was NFP. I had a $4,000 account, and when I say a long time ago, I was 18 years old and I was trading the non-farm payroll. At this point, I was really good at trading NFP. I would always catch the move, but I wouldn't trade it like this. I would trade it how most traders trade it. They're waiting for the news event to come out. You're sitting on your MT4 and you click the button. I was really good at that, but one day I had a really bad lesson and it hurt me. It set me back a lot of time on that account because $4,000 was a lot of money for me to have on account. I blew the entire account. I was devastated. It was like a sad day for me, a completely emotional day because it was a lot of money, but I learned a valuable lesson there. After that, I approached the news a bit differently, slower. I didn't know this strategy at that time, but I was a much more cautious and aware of, okay, the news can really move. I don't want to try to predict its movement and try to guess what it's going to do. Eventually, over time, from those types of experiences, those bad experiences can shape you. I learned to see the market like this. So again, the best thing you can do, guys, is when you get a news candle coming out, wait 15-30 minutes. There's a lot of news events. This is the major impact right here on the news. This one right here. When we're looking at 30-minute chart now, that's your 30-minute candle. This thing spikes from about 29.14 all the way down to 28.94, $20 movement. What happens after? Market goes right up in the upwards direction. So guys, that's going to conclude this news strategy. Remember to protect your account during news. So especially nowadays, because the market has a lot of volatility these days in 2025. So last tips here would be, if you're going to trade the news, maybe use a smaller lot size than you're used to. Because what if you take a loss and you have to find that re-entry? Set wider stop losses as well, so you can avoid getting stopped out. Don't over leverage, because like I've said throughout this video, the news is pretty unpredictable at times. So you kind of want to have a trading plan and know a little bit of what you're going to do and what you're going to maybe look for beforehand within the forecast and your trading style, your strategy. This is a great strategy, guys. If you study a bunch of news events and you watch some of the other YouTube videos, we got part 1 and part 2 already complete. Here's another video. So remember, guys, trading news isn't just about jumping in the market randomly at any time. It's still about having a strategy that works and mastering the timing of that execution and understanding the volatility. Once you tie these types of things together, you'll be able to handle that volatility more as a trader. But remember, you don't need the news at the end of the day. Have a trading plan and know what you're looking for beforehand. Comment down below if you've had any experiences trading the news before, good or bad. I would like to see what you guys say in the comment section. It would be valuable to share with everybody and see your guys' insights as well. And I'll see you guys on the next video.